It seems like we have this conversation with clients 4 or 5 times per week, and that is the issue of a nonprofit hiring and paying an independent contractor. And it seems like everybody has a story about how somebody else is doing things, so why can't they do it too? It's so much easier to pay people as contractors and not hassle with all the payroll tax stuff, right? Well, most likely that's a really big no. Hi, I'm Greg McRae, founder and CEO of Foundation Group, and welcome back to our 501c3 University channel. Whether you're new to our channel or a regular subscriber, be sure and hit that like button. It really does help us out a lot, and we appreciate it. Okay, independent contractors, hot topic. Some employers believe they can treat any worker as an independent contractor instead of an employee simply because they want to, and especially if both parties agree to it. Others do it knowing they shouldn't, but hope they just don't get busted for it. Bad idea. The reason businesses, including nonprofits, like to use independent contractors is simple. It saves a ton of money on employment taxes, namely unemployment, Social Security, and Medicare. The problem lies in the fact that the person your nonprofit is paying is not a contractor simply because you want them to be. Whether or not someone is legitimately an independent contractor depends on a set of well-defined rules, and understanding those rules can save you a lot of headache with the powers that be. Now, the IRS uses Publication 15A, the Employer Supplemental Tax Guide, while the Department of Labor uses an interpretation of the Employment Under the Fair Labor Standards Act, and we'll link both of those in the description below. Whichever test you use, it boils down to 3 simple factors. Factor number 1 is behavior. Does the company control or have the right to control what the worker does and how the worker does it? Let's use an example. Suppose you operate a nonprofit daycare and you've got a clogged drain in your kitchen. So what do? You call a plumber. Now, unless you're just one of those people, you're not going to hover over the plumber telling him how to do his job. No, you called a professional for a reason, right? He knows how to fix your clog. Now, you may have some input or preferences, but for the most part, he's in control of what he does and how he does it. On the other hand, if you hire a new part-time administrative assistant, it's very likely that the balance of control lies with you, the employer, not your new hire. The assistant is told when to come in every day, how long to stay, and what the job expectations are, even to the point of being trained in how to do most every aspect of the job. Factor number 2 is financial. What are the financial aspects under the worker's control or the employer's? Well, these aspects include things like how the worker's paid, whether expenses are reimbursed, who provides tools and supplies. In our example of the plumber, I really doubt you're going to be supplying the plumber with the necessary tools to open your drain. Your assistant, on the other hand, probably won't be expected to provide her own desk, computer, or printer. Another financial consideration involves the element of risk. Now, contractors have the opportunity to experience financial loss, whether it's from underbidding a particular job or simply running his or her business in the red. Employees are not generally exposed to the potential for financial loss. If they've got a job, they get paid for it. Our third and final factor is the type of relationship that exists. Are there written contracts, or conversely, are there employee-type benefits in place like a retirement plan, insurance, or vacation pay? Will the relationship continue, or is the work performed a key aspect of the business? Here's what I'm getting at. When the plumber is finished, he's going to send you a bill, and he may even stand there until you pay him. He decides the fee. You may or may not have an ongoing contract with him for future services, but the relationship is clearly one of professional and client. Contrast that, however, to the relationship you have with your administrative assistant. I've yet to meet many administrative assistants who bill for their services at a fee they determine. It could happen, but it's not very likely. So who's more concerned about this, the IRS or your state? Well, both, actually. As I mentioned earlier, the IRS and the U.S. Department of Labor both use written guidelines they publish explaining how federal employment law is to be administered. Now, your state Department of Labor cares too, though, and they actually may be the quicker of the two to catch on to what you're doing wrong. The classification of employee versus contractor impacts state employment taxes, including unemployment insurance that is due for employees, but typically not due for contractors. Now, this area is not much of a concern at the federal level since 501c3s are exempt from federal unemployment taxes, but not so for the state level. I said it a minute ago, but I'll reiterate it now. The state is far more likely to become aware of misclassifications. Now, we see this happen a lot when a former employee files a state unemployment claim, but they've been treated as an independent contractor improperly and show up as ineligible to collect unemployment. The state investigates and boom, you've got problems. The penalties for misclassifying an employee can be pretty severe. At the state level, the Labor Department will usually reclassify the wrongly treated contractor as an employee retroactively to their first date of employment. Translation: the state will assess back taxes for unemployment insurance plus penalties plus interest. We've seen businesses bankrupted by this alone. At the federal level, the misclassification will result in the employer being liable not only for the employer portion of Social Security and Medicare not paid on behalf of the employee, but many times the Social Security Administration and the IRS will also hold the employer responsible for the portion not withheld from the worker's paycheck. You can imagine the consequences. If the state levied back taxes for unemployment didn't bankrupt you, the IRS levied taxes for FICA probably will. The reality is this isn't that complicated. People just want to make it that way. And the game they're playing by treating employees as contractors, well, it's going to catch up with them eventually, and when it does, it's going to be very, very costly indeed. Do not take chances that can greatly harm your nonprofit. It's not worth the risk to either your organization's finances or its reputation. Do it the right way from the get-go. Hey, thanks for watching. Now go serve your community. Hey, do me a favor and don't navigate away just yet. We would really appreciate it if you would click the like button, as it really helps get our content recommended to more people. Subscribe if you haven't already, as we have great content coming your way on a regular basis. Finally, you can click the little bell icon to be notified of new content when we post it. To learn more about Foundation Group, you can always visit us on the web at www.501c3.org. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.